Today, I'm going over the highlights from this year because 2023 has been a heck of a year where many things have changed. I've graduated high school, become an equestrian, got a kiss from a Clydesdale, and there's so much more. So, in January, not much really happened. In February, I created my equestrian YouTube channel, JAIS STEUER Equestrian, with intent that I'd eventually start riding horses. Late February, I accidentally ruined my JAIS STEUER Aspire laptop with liquid metal thermal paste, and I had to switch to a mid-2012 MacBook Pro. This was the 2.5 GHz dual-core Intel Core i5 configuration, and I then put a 256GB SSD inside. In March, I was given a channel with 8K subscribers that never took off, and I quit it since I wasn't really getting anything. Those videos can still be found, and I still have access to this channel. We also had music in our schools, and we got to practice and then perform at the Yuba Gardens Intermediate School, which I went to for 7th and 8th grade. In April, I got an Apple Watch, and this is something that's been pretty helpful since day one. Prom was later that month, and our theme was Las Vegas, so I decided to dress like Elvis Presley. And I drove in style in my dad's Mustang, which has been my daily driver for a while now. My dad's Mustang is a 2010 GT 4.6-liter V8 Ford Mustang with a K&N intake inside. It has 163,000 miles and was a show model at the Ford dealership we got it from. May was awesome, and we had a super fun choir field trip to American Canyon High School and Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, where our choir won first place with an excellent rating. And later that month, I officially graduated from high school. June starts getting a little hectic. I bought the 2.9 GHz dual-core Intel Core i7 13-inch mid-2012 MacBook Pro configuration used on eBay for $75, and I gave it about $80 worth of upgrades, including a new battery, a 512GB SSD, and new thermal paste. This MacBook Pro has been my daily driver for the last 6 months, and it has definitely handled well in most cases. I did also buy a used 13-inch early 2015 MacBook Pro with the 2.9 GHz dual-core Intel Core i5 configuration, and after a $94 battery replacement, I had a decent laptop, but what I didn't know at the time was that I had bad thermal paste. The new Mac was constantly getting hot. In July, things were casual, but I started a long-distance relationship with an equestrian who lives in Wisconsin, and we played a Roblox horse game called Wild Horse Islands a lot together. Also during this time, we were getting ready to go travel somewhere tropical, but I had a trick up my sleeves this year. External storage. I bought 1.4 terabytes worth of external storage to Maui, Hawaii, and well, I barely used any of that. I recorded about 100 gigabytes out of the 1,408 gigabytes I had originally brought. In August, I started taking music courses at Yuba College as well as an English course. And finding out about Maui, which I called Fire, was pretty sad news. And I also had thought about bringing back a dual iPhone setup because I accidentally broke my iPhone 6s Plus last August to the point where the screen was toast. I ordered an iPhone 8 Plus that was apparently reconstructed by Equestrian, which is a tech company, and well, that wasn't first without a scam iPhone. My bad ordering a locked iPhone 8 Plus for $100 instead of the $150 model that was unlocked. 2 days after receiving the iPhone 8 Plus, I got to meet a very sweet mare Percheron at Youthful Courage Stables who is now retired. Her name is Diamond, and she is 17.1 HH or 69 inches tall at the withers. September, I officially started riding horses, and I had my first riding lesson with Diamond on September 7th. And ever since then, things have been amazing. Mid-September, I decided to sell my early 2015 MacBook Pro so I could try to get a quad-core MacBook Pro. Blake was another horse I rode, and he's pretty sweet just like Diamond was. Late September, I went to a draft horse fair, and this was such an amazing experience. I saw all sorts of draft horses, including Clydesdales and Percherons. And if you know me, I love Clydesdales, so I went over to them and I was giving one some scratches, and what I got in return was a cute and scratchy Clydesdale case. In October, things got pretty interesting, as early that month, I got a 15-inch mid-2012 MacBook Pro. This was the base 2.3 GHz quad-core Intel Core i7 configuration used. This is the first laptop I've had that has had an NVIDIA GPU. Since this is the base 2.3 GHz, it only has the half gigabyte GPU model. I did get better thermal paste, which is now Thermal Grizzly Chrono Extreme, and those have definitely lowered the temps. And also, that month, I officially switched to Final Cut Pro for editing all my videos with color corrections in mind, including this year review video. I have also been running macOS Sonoma 14.0 since it got patched with OpenCore Legacy Patcher for the older MacBooks, and it has definitely been an interesting play. Not everything has been too smooth, there are no severe issues. I also also rode a gaited horse named Wilbur, and he's a Tennessee walking horse. For Halloween, I had an actual horse costume instead of the inflatable one I had last year, and I went out all alone. I ended up walking almost 5 miles, and I got close to 15 pounds of camp, which I did not eat all of it. November was a hectic month, and well, just 2 months into horse riding, I had my first canter on Wilbur, which is a pretty big achievement. I also replaced my huge desk, and I'm so glad I did so, because the one that was in my room before, I felt like it was just taking a bunch of space, so I had to get rid of it. I also broke up with Cloud, and that was when me and Kaylin got back together. I have known Kaylin since 2015 in 5th grade, so we know a lot about each other, and we've seen each other a lot. 2.5 months into riding, I suddenly got great at my posting, which is something you do when the horse you're on is trotting. I have also been planning an amazing Thanksgiving, which was at my cousin's house this year, and I brought my video game consoles, a popcorn machine, and a speaker. So we made Thanksgiving celebrations the life of the party. So far in December, we celebrated an amazing weekend for my birthday. We went to the mall, watched the Trolls movie, and went bowling. I also had the best IRL game with a score of 109. Anyways, about 2 weeks ago, I had a particular lesson on Blake, and he almost tripped his front hooves, but he caught himself before he could trip. I also rode a different horse named Opie, who I actually got to lunch, and 2 days after that, I went to the Christmas party at the stable. And I got this achievement, and this horseshoe, which I painted pink. And something crazy happened just last night. I got to witness a storm in the middle of the night. Automatic lights turned off. Oh my gosh! That was amazing. And the thing is, we never get storms around here. It may be storms like once or twice a year, and it's very unusual to get a storm, especially around Christmas, considering where I am. And that is 2023 in review. Before we go, I want to say that soon I'm going to be making a review about how my 13 and 15-inch backward throws from 2012 have satisfied my needs. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content coming soon and into the new year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, do svidaniya, goodbye.